What's up, everybody? I'm here with Aditya to break down pretty iconic play from one of your recent YCSs. You were in YCS Pittsburgh last year, not too long ago, and there was something very iconic that you did that not many duelists are willing to do, and we got you here to break it down for us. So talk to me about your top 4 feature match, I believe it was?
Yeah. So the game specifically I'm going to review is the top 4 game 3. So a little bit of context before we delve into this. My opponent in top 4, I had already played him round 11 or 12 of Swiss, I believe.
Okay.
And this is at a point that I was undefeated in the tournament. And this ended up being my only loss during Swiss. For one of the reasons being that going into game 3, I had the option to choose going first or second. Now in Swiss, I had the idea that in the Draco Tail mirror, it would be a good idea to essentially put my opponent first, because my idea is that they would have a lot of Charmies in their deck and just draw worse cards. So I ended up doing that in Swiss. I sent my opponent first. He ended up just full comboing me. Didn't draw any Charmies. So
sometimes that happens.
yeah.
But the thought process was there, right? Like sometimes you can try and like mess up your opponent, right?
Mm-hmm. And especially like in a scenario like that where I'm already guaranteed into top cut. Yeah. It was like a good time to kind of try to experiment a little bit.
Sure.
Now, fast forward into top 4, we're in the same scenario. Going to game 3, I have choice.
Okay.
To go first or second. Now, the first thought that comes into my head is whether or not I should do the put my opponent first strategy again. Obviously, it didn't work in Swiss, so I was a little bit hesitant on the fact. But then I got to thinking that this is a guy I already played before.
Yeah.
What would I think in his shoes?
You're probably assuming that you're going to do the same thing.
Exactly.
Even if it didn't work, the logic is sound, right?
So if I were my opponent, I wouldn't be sure if my opponent's really going to make me go first or second. So is it worth having the risk of putting all my Charmies in my deck and then potentially just my opponent makes me go first and then I draw Charmies?
Okay.
Because it was a valid strategy that my opponent tried in Swiss. So I figured out that my opponent could think that I was going to make him go first and then take the Charmies out of his deck preemptively. So in game 3, I opted to go first.
Yeah.
And it ended up paying off really, really well. So we'll go over the footage real quick.
Yeah. Is there a moment in the game that like we find that? Because obviously the siding, like that's a tough decision to make, but like did it reward you in the game at all?
Yes, it did. I actually spoke with my opponent afterwards.
Okay.
And it turns out he did side out all of his Charmies, and he sided half going first. So he had played cards like Dragons, like really hard going first cards, like Dragon's Mine.
Okay.
In order to just kind of like shut down like
that's
any
pretty
plays
much
that I can make.
worthless going second, yeah.
So what ended up happening is he sided into, what I know at least, is Kashtira Fenrir, which is typically a going first siding pattern against the Draco Tail mirror.
Okay. And that hit the board at some point, right?
It did hit the board.
Yeah.
So when I finished my turn, and I essentially just like made the full board. When I finished my turn and my opponent summoned Fenrir, in my head I'm like, I got him.
Yeah.
In my head I was like, I got him immediately. So
yeah. That's a cool moment. It's a cool approach to an intricate part of the game that not everybody thinks about. But when you're at the top level and you're playing as many games as you're playing, like you actually have these types of options. But you'd mentioned something that is something you were confident to do because you already guaranteed to go in. Is this something that you'd be less, willing to do then if your tournament run was on the line?
yeah, there's obviously a lot of risk factors that you have to take into account.
Sure.
I think that if I were in a position where I was X2 going into this round and I have to win this round to go into top cut, I would probably just just go first in that position.
Yeah.
But there is an advantage to being undefeated.
True.
You get to try new things.
You get a freestyle a little bit. That's fun. All right, well, you and Jesse can have a conversation about that, because I know sometimes Jesse Cotton does that as well. But thank you for breaking that down, Aditya. That was super fun. Cool opportunity and a cool tournament run for you. So thanks for being here.
Yep.
All right.
Oh.